G'day everyone, I want to talk about the Ashes. During these times where there's not much live sport, I thought it might be fun to talk about what is considered to be the greatest rivalry in sport. England versus Australia. Where did this come from? How has it lasted for over a century, bringing us together as a sporting community and nations to really fight hard for what is such a small little thing but means so much to both our countries. It's lasted right through the wars, through depressions, and now through coronavirus. So I wanted to share my favourite moments, and then I wanted to pass it on to Michael Vaughan today to explore his favourite moments, and then he can do the same, and so on and so forth it goes. But my favourite memory was back in '93, my very first tour to England. And I wasn't playing in the series, I was carrying the drinks, but it was the first chance for me to sing the team song. And what a great privilege and honour that has been, the custom of singing that song. I've played in 5 Ashes series, but I'll never forget this. So I just wanted to put you back inside that dressing room in Manchester. Remember, that was the test match going way back when Warnie bowled that ball of the century to Mike Gatting to dismiss him for 3. He's still blinking. He's like a rat in a flower bin. That was the surprise that he had on his face. It was also the test match where Ian Healy scored his first test match 100 in the second innings, and Australia went on to win that test match series and that game comfortably. But for a young boy sitting there with his heroes, Alan Border, Boone, in fact, most of the guys, when I look on the wall up here, that have been part of very special records and the Century Club, guys like Justin Langer, Ricky Ponting, Glenn McGrath, Shane Warne, Ian Healy, Mark Taylor, Mark Waugh, Steve Waugh. These were guys inside the dressing room at that time. A young Damien Martin was with me as well, touring. And it was just so mesmerising to see the absolute joy they all had on their face when it came to winning a test match for Australia. So the jukebox was on, as they called it. And guys, you know, for example, like Johnny Diesel and the Injectors were playing. You had Midnight Oils blaring out. The beers were flowing. And of course, the famous Jimmy Barnes. You know, songs like K-Sand getting played, or Back in Bow River. But my favourite, which was an unpopular one for most of the Julios, as we used to call them, captain and coached by Shane Warne, was Johnny Williamson. So I want to set the mood with a bit of Johnny Williamson, just to get us going before we actually sing the team song together. Blue, blue, is it me and you? Is it mum and dad? Is it a cockatoo? Is it standing by your mates when he's in a fight? Or will she be right? True Baloo. Terrible guitar player, sorry about that. But then we punch on into what is the legendary team song. David Boone on a table, physio bench, players around him, beers flowing, creating all sorts of drama. We've got arms around each other, sweaty, drooling with beer, bunching in and creating this noise, this atmosphere. It was electric. And then Boonie, under muffled breath, who was custodian of the song, "Righto, boys, yell it out. 1, 2, 3. Underneath the Southern Cross I stand, a sprig of wattle in my hand, a native of our native land, Australia, you are beauty." Second verse, same as the first. And so on. Oh man, they were great times. You know, of all the series that I played, the singing of the team song, the comradeship between England and Australia, the mateship, the beers at the end of the game, you know, that's what it was all about. It was about forging friendship through sport. Combative, yes. We hated each other, but off the field we were the greatest of mates. And long may it continue. Anyway, that's my favourite moment. Vaughnie, over to you, brother.
Hey guys, Ashes memories from me. Well, I have to say 05. First time we'd beaten you lot. in 18 years to beat your team, the team that had so many stars, superstars of the game. Probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 would get into the all-time Test 11 if you had a vote. That's how good you lot were. So for us to win, that was very special. Actual shirt here from that series. But for me, the Ashes is about the kind of friendships, the kind of camaraderie, those moments in the dressing room. So the moment after the win in 05 stands in my memory, all you guys drinking with us. But 2002, 2003, my first tour down under, being in that Sydney dressing room. This is actually the bat I used to get 100 at Sydney. There it is, the old purist. Got a bit of signature, the 183 in the second innings. On a pair I was, Brett Lee in the first innings, managed to scrape a few in the second. But being in that Sydney dressing room, the famous Sydney dressing room, Rocky, the dressing room attendant, the late Rocky, used to leave us a message on the dressing room wall every single day to give us some motivation. Even though he's in Aussie, he wanted us to do pretty well. But sat in that dressing room in Sydney, in amongst yourself, Justin Langer, Steve Waugh, Steve getting that famous 100, but just being in that famous dressing room at the SCG, drinking a few cans. John Howard, the Prime Minister, he came in at the time. That for me, with the Oval, just being in the dressing room, with players that throughout those 5 matches that you play, you hate. But by the end of it, when you're in that dressing room, you all realise that we're only human. We all are pretty normal. We all like a drink or two. We all like playing the game of cricket. So it's those 2 moments, just sat in the dressing room. 2003 in Sydney, 2005 at the Oval in the dressing room. Cheers, mate. It's all right.
G'day guys, thanks very much for the Ashes memory nomination, Alf. Appreciate it. I've absolutely love listening to everyone's memories. It's brought back some great times, that's for sure, and brought a smile to my face a few times too. So yeah, keep it going, guys. Look, I've got so many wonderful Ashes memories. You know, growing up in the 70s and 80s. Yep, I'm old. I'm 51 this year. So anyone my age will remember the backyard cricket and trying to be Jeff Thompson or Dennis Lilly or Ian Chappell, Ian Botham, Tony Gregg, and all those guys that played in that time, and watching some wonderful cricket. I suppose fast forward to 1989 when I played my first ever league cricket for Imperial in Bristol, and watching Alan Border regain the Ashes series in 89 set the dream alive of saying, I want to be part of these Ashes series. And I was lucky enough to be part of my first ever Ashes series in 93, and what a first test match it was. And wow, I mean, Graham Gooch was out-handled ball. Ian Healy made his first test 100. Couldn't get the helmet off. The helmet strap he was trying to get off, he couldn't get it off to celebrate. Merv knocking over Mike Gadding with the last ball of the day was just awesome. And I managed to get one past you too, Gat. Thanks very much for missing it, mate. I appreciate it. Thank you. And from then on, all through the rest of my career, every Ashes series was special. It was just outstanding. 2005 obviously stands out as a special series, even though we lost. Played in 9 Ashes series, and that was the only one I lost. It was an amazing time, that. I think the camaraderie, the sportsmanship, the skill that was on display really captured the imagination of the public all over the world. So that one's not my favourite memory, but it has to be mentioned. Yeah, 1 out of 9 is it's not bad. It's not bad. But I think above all, it was the mateship, the friendships that last forever, that were formed and made from both England and Australia. The camaraderie between both sides. It was always played in great spirit, hard, tough, but fair. Everyone used to always go in each other's dressing room and have a beer with each other after the day's play. I think that's what really stands out from my Ashes memories. Yes, there were some great test matches. Yes, I was very lucky to do some pretty special things in Ashes as well. But more or less, it was the camaraderie, mateship, and the friendships that were made for life. That's what really stood out for me. The Adelaide Test match was also awesome. After Andrew Flintoff decided to declare at 550 ahead, England were 50 runs ahead going into the last day and lost. We managed to do that. Well done. And we won that 5-0, that forgotten Ashes series. But look, it was just great friends that have lasted a lifetime, great memories. You know, one of my favourites, I suppose I have to, playing in front of your children was always pretty special. And my last ever test match at the MCG in front of my children, my family, and my friends that have been there for my whole life was pretty amazing. Boxing Day 2006. in front of, as I said, 92,000 of my closest friends as well. Taking my 700th Test wicket in front of my children was probably one of my favourite memories of all time in Ashes battles. As I said, look, the camaraderie, mateship and sportsmanship and the friendships that were made were outstanding. So I have to pass it on now. I'm going to pass on not to a player, but someone who has seen it all. That is you, Errol Alcott, a.k.a. Hooter.
Thanks, Warney and Haydos, for the nomination. Now, I've got lots of Ashes memories, especially growing up. I've got Warney's 700 at the MCG in front of his home crowd. Tugger scoring 100 off the last ball in front of his home crowd, SCG. I remember as a kid watching them and absolutely loving it. But I'm going to go for something a bit more personal to me and more recent. Just in the last Ashes series, the first Test at Birmingham. Start of a big Test series. We got a couple of guys coming back from their first game in a year or so. First morning, we're sending to bat. Overcast skies, get off to a rocky start. In walks Steve Smith. Bats out the whole day, gets 150 odd. Gets up to a respectable total. Second innings, game still in the balance. Smithy goes again, another 100 odd. Nathan Lyon takes 6 in the second innings, wins the game, sets up the series at Edgbaston, meant to be the fortress, got up, started the series perfectly. So that's a recent memory. The crowd was just crazy up on that hill, dress ups for 5 days, just chanting, did not stop. So it was really, really satisfying. Closely followed by the Manchester win a couple of weeks later, but I'm going to stick with that Birmingham win.
Thanks, Como, for the nomination, mates. I know Vorney and Haydos have done this as well. Look, my favourite Ashes moment would have to be Adelaide 2006. England batted first after being beaten in the first Test match. Why wouldn't you bat first at Adelaide Oval? It's a wonderful batting track. And they obviously set out to try and bat as well as they can and post a big total, and that's just exactly what they did. Paul Collingwood brought up 200. I think him and KP put on 300 plus. I think KP got 150. Quite a rare thing in that game as well that McGrath, Pidge, went none for 100. Obviously a world-class bowler, but not too often you see world-class bowlers go none for 100. That just, shows how well England applied themselves and got on top of the Australians there and declared, I think, over 550. I think, when Australia went out to bat, we lost 2 cheap wickets, Alfie and Haydos. I think Punter got 140, Huss 90, and I think Michael Clark got 120 odd as well, and Will dismissed, I think, for about 515, 520. Matthew Hoggard got 7th, I think, as well. 42 overs, long time in the field, 163 overs. At this stage, you're looking at both teams out there, 500 plus total on the board. You're pretty much looking at a draw. But the attitude you have to take into these situations is the game's still on the line. You leave no stone unturned, and going to the 5th day, England lost a couple of wickets early. Australia came out, turned up, as they always do. What a wonderful team that was, obviously led by Punter. And then I think the turning point in that game, I think, was when Warney bowled KP around his legs. I think KP went to paddle one around the corner. Warney got one out of the rough. Ended up taking 4 I think it was. And then we dismissed him for 168. Obviously set, I think, 35, 36 overs maybe late in that afternoon to come out and try and get 160, 68 was obviously going to be a tough assignment. 2 quick early wickets, both openers removed. Alfie trying to accelerate, tried his best. Haydos tried his best. And I think obviously a couple of guys there got some quick runs. I think Punter got some quick runs. I think Pup got 20 odd or 30 odd, if not many. And then, the magical moment, just seeing one of the all-time great blokes, legend. I was fortunate enough to play with this guy. Mr. Nice Guy, Mr. Cricket. leads the team song, led the team song when I was playing with him. But see him hit the winning runs, 61 not out, with I think it was a couple of balls to spare or maybe an over the spare, is a memory that I'll never ever forget. And that's why it's one of my favourite Ashes moments. And you see that played in the highlights reel quite often. But that's one I definitely recommend people who love Test match cricket, especially Ashes cricket, to go back and watch that, especially if you're an Australian fan. It was a great Test match and one that I never forget, and I'm sure the guys that were playing will never forget that as well. And on the back of that, I'd like to nominate the captain of that 2006 winning game in Adelaide, Ricky Ponting, to give us. It's going to be very challenging for him to give us his favourite Ashes moment in his playing days. Obviously, he played a lot of Test matches and captained obviously a lot of winning Ashes sides. But hopefully, Punter, you can give us an insight to one of your favourite Ashes moments. Over to you.
Well, thanks, Davey, for your nomination. It's a great initiative, I think, that the big fella Matty Hayden's come up with to get some of our old blokes talking about Ashes cricket and some of the great memories that we have from the game. So, growing up in the northern suburbs of Tasmania in Launceston, it was always a childhood dream of mine, one, to get a chance to play for Australia, but hopefully get a chance to play some Ashes cricket. It was all I ever thought about when I was playing those games in the backyard. Those games are always Ashes Test matches. So, for someone that played a lot of cricket, I think I played in 8 or 9 Ashes series, to sit back now, I've obviously got lots of great memories and some that are not so fond as well. And I want to start with some that probably aren't so fond, and that's the 2005 series in England where we were beaten by Michael Vaughan and his men. But when I think back now, I still have, even though we lost, I have some unbelievable memories of what was just probably one of the all-time great Test match series ever. As I said, Vaughan and his men were too good. They outplayed us. Some of the moments in that series, I mean, we had a great opener at Lords, won the Test match there comfortably. We went to Edgbaston where it was just one of the all-time great Test matches, one-run victory to England there on that occasion. We go to Manchester, we had to battle out the last day and a bit and try and bat out for a draw, which is a situation that the Australian cricket team hadn't been in much for a long, long time. We managed to do that. We go to Trent Bridge, we're outplayed there again, and England snuck across the line in another amazing game of cricket. And then obviously it culminated at the Oval with us going there needing to win the Test to retain the Ashes, and unfortunately we weren't quite good enough. But the everlasting image I think that came out of that series was Freddie and Binger down on one knee celebrating the end of an amazing game. Freddie's first thought was to get to Binger and just show some great sportsmanship. And I think they're the things that I'll remember most about the Ashes battles that we had. Is when we were on the field, it was on for young and old. It was playing the sort of cricket that Australia, that I certainly wanted to play anyway. The way that I was brought up was going to be hard-nosed, tough Test match cricket, and we enjoyed that. And so did Varney and his men in that 05 series. So, we battled hard on the field. We got together at the end of that series. We shared a beer, and that's what Ashes cricket was all about. Now, the next series that I wanted to talk a little bit about was the one that Davies just mentioned, which was the 06-07 series, which gave us a little chance at redemption. It lit the fire in the belly of some of our senior blokes, and we worked long and hard to make sure we're up and ready for the start of that series. And we got off to a great start. Brisbane was a great win for us. We got to Adelaide. We were completely outplayed in the first part of that Test match, but I think we all knew that if we played our best cricket from sort of the back end of day 2 onwards, if we played perfect Test match cricket, we all felt that we could win the game, and that's how it turned out to be probably the most remarkable Test win that I was a part of. I remember going to Perth, winning in Perth and clinching the series over there. But the memories and the overriding memories that I have from Ashes cricket are the ones that happened in the Sydney Test match, where we had Warne, McGrath and Justin Langer, 3 of the all-time great servants of Australian cricket, all retire in the one game. Glenn got a wicket with his last ball in Ashes cricket, which was fitting for him. Warney did what he does, and then Justin Langer had the stage set perfectly for him and his great mate Matthew Hayden in the 4th innings of that game to go out and pick off 40-odd runs to win. Stuff that fairy tales are made of. Now, it was an emotional time for me. Now, those guys I mentioned there are some of my best mates in the game. I was captained to look around the dressing room for the next Test match and realised those guys weren't there. It was always going to be something difficult. But Big Doss and JL, they got the job done, steered us across the line. We won the series 5-0, and the celebrations with us and with the England players in the dressing rooms at the end of that game is something that I miss, but also something that I'll always remember. So there are some of my great memories from Ashes cricket. And the person that I want to nominate to carry this theme on is Kevin Peterson. All the best. Cheers.
Ashes memories. Thanks, Punter. Yes, Ashes memories, fond memories, incredibly fond memories for English cricketers and for Australian cricketers and for fans. I think you get remembered at the end of your career on how you played in an Ashes series and how you went in Ashes cricket. And you understand the significance of it when you turn up at Test grounds and they're full. Always full. That 2005 Ashes that you talked about, the grounds were full before we even went in. But I've got a little confession that I'm going to make after I've chatted about Brisbane. Punter, the confession is going to come just towards the end of this clip, and it's going to make you giggle and it might frustrate the hell out of you. However, Brisbane, the love-hate relationship with Brisbane, fond memories. I do have fond memories. I played my 100th Test match in Brisbane. I had the most beautiful battle with Shane Warne in 2006 after he was apparently too friendly to me in 2005 in the Ashes series here in England. So we had a big ding-dong. Big battle of words. He was trying to knock me over. He threw the ball at my head and I was thinking after, I should have just rammed a couple past Gilchrist's ears. And it's fond memories like that. But one in particular, when I was standing on the boundary in one of the Ashes Test matches there in Brisbane, where I was sent down to the boundary, I was sent down to third man, and as the pantomime villain, every time I played an Ashes Test match in Australia, I got hammered. And Freddie sent me down to the boundary. I was down the third man, and oh goodness, I was getting. I was thinking, well, how on earth can I at least try and stem the flow of abuse? So I thought a little kid then. He was asking, KP, please come and sign my back. Please come and sign my back. Please come and back. I was thinking, should I? Ball after ball after ball. And I thought, you know what? There's 20,000 people. They're all abusing me. Let me just go and do it. As I got there, and I think it's recorded, it's on camera. I go there and I go and put my hand forward. As I put my hand forward to take the bat, the kid goes, "Way!" And so do 10,000 other people. They go, "Way!" And so from then on in, I just thought, Brisbane, I've got no interest. I've got absolutely no interest. And you know what? I've taken it so far down the line now that I can't start saying that I really like Brisbane, even though I do like Brisbane. I've played my 100th Test match there, for goodness sake. So I've got to like the place. My confession, Melbourne, Boxing Day Test match. Punter, you'll know all about this. Siddle runs up. Siddle knocked me over for fun. I nick one to the keeper. Haddain goes up. Everybody goes up. Punter runs at me from extra cover. Ah! Alim Dar says not out, or Billy Bowden. Was Alim Dar or Billy Bowden? Punter gives him the biggest serve ever. He walks away, and again, this is also caught on camera. As he walks away, he starts walking away to extra cover. I gave it the old. That was caught on camera. The wink was caught on camera. I think NASA was commentating at the time. Nothing was made of it, but I absolutely smashed the cover of it. I just couldn't let Peter Siddle get me out again. Those are a couple of my memories, man. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
G'day everyone. Well, I've been nominated to do my favourite Ashes moment by Errol Alcott, the great hooter, one of the best, if not the best physio in the world in any sport. Hoot, a huge thank you, mate, firstly for the nomination, but also for the amazing work you did throughout my career. Got me back on the paddock, up for game after game. And I wouldn't have played as much cricket if it wasn't for you. I think back to 2005 Ashes when I went over on my ankle, fully ruptured 2 ligaments on the outside, plus a bit of bone damage on the inside of my ankle, and you got me back inside a week. I can't think of any other physio who would have been able to achieve that. So, mate, thank you very much. Also to Haydos, I think this is your baby. Came up with the idea of all the old boys and a few of the younger ones to give their favourite Ashes moments. So, well done, mate. For me, Ashes cricket is the ultimate. I remember growing up in Narromine. You know, I wanted to play cricket for Australia as a fast bowler and to come up against England. I remember watching Ashes series back then. You know, Rodney Hogg getting 41 wickets at 12.85. Terry Orleman swinging the ball in England and knocking England over for fun. Merv Hughes, just that lion-hearted effort in 93. Dennis Lillee, who was my hero and the greatest fast bowler of all time. You know, he nearly averaged 7 wickets a game against England, which is absolutely incredible. So any test he played in. But for me, some of my greatest, well, bit of a mixed bag. My first test match against England, finished with the figures of none for 120. Didn't play the next 3 games, so not the best start up at the Gabba. And my first test over in the UK at Edgbaston, we lost by 10 wickets. So not my favourite moments there, but after that, things went pretty well. Some great memories. Lords, any test match at Lords is special. And to get your name up on the honour board there is something that I really wanted to do. So to get my name up there, first test match to walk off with 8 is pretty special. Lots of other ones as well. Hung on to a catch to get rid of Vorney down in Adelaide off Shano, which was pretty special. But to me, I think my favourite one was, 05 was a topsy-turvy match. The roller coaster of emotions was incredible. First test at Lords, picked up my 500th test wicket, which was amazing. Then to tread on the ball and then to see what happened the rest of the series was incredible. Fair enough, England outplayed us, but that was the first Ashes series we lost. So in 06-07, we were keen to get the Ashes back to where we felt they belong. We're a little bit older, a little bit long in the tooth. I think Beefy came out and called us Dad's Army. So we're keen to prove a point on a couple of different reasons. So to win in Brisbane in a good test match, Warney bowled us to victory at Adelaide on that last day, absolutely incredible. Gillies 100 at the Wacker, one of the quickest of all time, was special. And then Shano at Melbourne in front of capacity crowd predicted how he was going to get Andrew Strauss out to me that over, and then executed it perfectly for his 700th test wicket, which was absolutely amazing. But to me, my favourite memory, or one of them, is SCG, home ground. It can't get any better than that. Against Ashes, chance to win 5-0. Last day, bowling in tandem, 9 wickets down. Warney bowling from the Paddington end. I was bowling from the Randwick end. And I was lucky enough to get the final wicket. So a wicket on my last ball in Test cricket. Slower ball to Jimmy Anderson. He didn't pick it, chipped it straight up in the air, straight to mid-on where Mike Hussey, Mr. Cricket, was fielding. And Huss never misses a chance and hung on to it. And then to see Haydos and JL go out and get the winning runs to seal the series 5-0, it doesn't get any better than that. And then I remember walking around the SCG. I had my daughter Holly in my arms, my son James walking beside, waving to the crowd. Some special moments there. And it was the final test for Warney, for JL, for myself. I think Mardo had finished his test career early on in that series. So a lot of amazing moments and a lot of emotions then as well. But if there's anything I miss from cricket, I loved playing, loved competing, and the team that I was lucky enough to play in was absolutely incredible. But I don't miss the, playing out in the middle. What I miss is the time around the teammates, celebrating those wins in the change room, staying for hours and hours after the day's play or after the test finished. That to me is the ultimate. So those celebrations on that final day of the 06-07 Ashes series was incredible. So, so many amazing memories. Ashes cricket for Australia is still the ultimate. And, cheers Haydos, cheers Hoot.